Well, we will come and collect your laundry for you, which for many people is an amazing thing because laundry is never ending. We've really built our culture in our head office that no one needs to ask for permission if they need to take time off.
Being featured on Shark Tank, what was that like? Tell us.
Yeah, it was such a crazy experience. I had never at that stage pitched the business before to an investor ever. So why not do that for the first time on national TV?
That's so impressive. It's kind of like Uber for laundry. I love that.
It has been absolute marketing gold for us.
Because laundry's not sexy.
Because laundry is definitely not sexy to
Not to
many
that
of the investor group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to The Business Game.
A podcast that moves the needle. Steve, I realized I don't need more hours in the day. I need a second me.
Or you could try Tyler Offshore. They basically build you one.
Even better, they connect businesses with top-tier remote talent, admin, customer service, even SaaS developers.
So you scale your team without scaling your stress.
And they feel like part of your team. No cloning machine required.
Head to tyleroffshore.com. Thanks to Tyler Offshore for supporting The Business Game.
Hello and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm your host, Kalina Steno.
And I'm Steve Plummer.
Today we are joined by Susan Toft, founder and CEO of The Laundry Lady. Thank you so much for joining us today, Susan. I am so excited to dive into this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Ooh. So to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, and what it is that The Laundry Lady does?
Well, we will come and collect your laundry for you, which for many people is an amazing thing because laundry is never ending. But it is much more than just about solving people's laundry. We also have a team of independent contractors. We have almost 500 now across Australia and New Zealand, and many of them are people who are looking for some kind of flexibility to be able to work from home, to be able to be there with their kids or look after their elderly parents or have some kind of flexibility in their lives. And so we give them this really sustainable business model that they can be part of to under the Laundry Lady banner. So it's much more than just about laundry, but it is a tech platform behind all of that connects both our customers and our contractors through our website. So that's how Laundry Lady kind of exists.
That's amazing. And how did it start for you? What's the beginning? Like, where did that plant?
A long time ago. So it actually started back in 2012. So I was a new mum and I had been working in a government career. I was working for Austrade for about 8 years, and I was really, like many new mums, struggling with my work-life balance. I, had a career where I was traveling, going interstate a lot, and, having a young baby at home, but trying to juggle that with a career was really, really tough. And my role got made redundant, and I just couldn't face going back into another office environment. So, and again, I think being at Austrade, I was surrounded by businesses all the time who were doing all these amazing things overseas, and I was really inspired by that. And I think I always knew I wanted to create my own thing. I just didn't know what that was going to be. So the redundancy kind of gave me the little push for that, and literally walking past my spare room and looking at my own clothes piled very high and thinking about how I needed a laundry service, and then started thinking, well, perhaps this could be the business that I create. And so I always kind of had this vision right from then that maybe it would be something I could offer to other, women or mums who want to have something that they can do from home and do that around their kids. And so within a couple of weeks of having the idea, I was getting a logo created and a website, and I became the original Laundry Lady.
It's amazing.
So that was a long time ago and a very different part of the journey back then to what it is today. But so that was me jumping in and becoming the Laundry Lady, going out and servicing my local area, doing the washing and ironing and all of those things.
I've got a question around that, very serious question. I mean, most people, when they think laundry, it's like, oh. Do you love laundry, or if it's for you, how did you push through that? Because you're surrounded by it.
I hated laundry. That's why I had a pile of clothes in my spare room. I was like, I need help with this. As a busy working mum, I really did need help with that. And it wasn't about the fact of do I love or do I not love laundry. I was really more thinking about the flexibility that I really was craving. I could not go back into an office and have a boss staring down my neck and saying you need to be here at this time and finish at this time. When you have a child that can't get their shoes on in the morning and you're 20 minutes late to work and you're like, oh, and getting screamed at for it. I was like, I can't operate in that environment anymore. And so it was really very much driven by wanting that flexibility. And I think when you're getting paid for laundry, it's not so bad, right? It's a totally different thing. And so I actually loved it. Like I loved it so much, and obviously it's a very different business now to what it was then. It was just me being a sole trader, doing the laundry, going out, picking it up. I would turn on a few ads if I needed a few more customers. It was like 20 cents a click and then turn it off when I was too busy. I could do it all around my kids. I could do it at night when they were asleep. I did it while my second one was being born. I think I was doing ironing the day that he was born.
Oh my gosh. Did those get delivered?
I think my husband had to take them back to the customer. But I just loved the flexibility that it gave me. And now all of our contractors who join us, they're craving that same flexibility, and many of them haven't done anything like laundry before. Some are experts in laundry, but some have come without that experience, and they just love the flexibility that our business can give to them.
It's really interesting because every business, it's never a straight line to success, right? There's bottlenecks, there's potholes, and so forth. For you, what's been the biggest bottleneck to growing the business to where it is today? And that unlocked the real momentum. What was the bottleneck and what did you do to unlock that?
There's so many. I've got this slide that I use when I present that's a roller coaster, and it shows the 12-year, 13-year journey that it's been so far, because it's so many loops and things that hold you back, or, all of those things. I think in the beginning, it was, in the very early stages, it was to start to have any kind of other contractors join me. It was, how do I get a tech platform? How do I have a booking system? Because, at that stage, it was just me and my mobile phone and my website, and that was it. And so back then I literally got a $5,000 grant from Queensland government, one of those early digital grant ones that they used to have, and took it to my designer and told him this Uber style platform that I wanted. And he kind of laughed at me with my budget and said, I don't think that, even on mates rates, you're going to kind of get that. And so he told me to go and find something off the shelf, which I didn't really know what that all meant at that stage, but I went and researched what he told me to research and found a scheduling system, and we, integrated into our website. He built a couple of things around that to make it work, and that gave me the opportunity to be able to take on contractors and have that booking. But at the same time, I got divorced, and my life, kind of took over, and I had to park the business for a while. Not so much park it, like it became a side hustle, because I just didn't have the time to be able to put into that or money, because money had become very tight as a single mum. And so, it still was ticking along in the background, but I was working full time, and it was very much this small side hustle. And I really, in that stage, felt very stuck of, how am I ever going to get back to this? I still had that burning desire in me that this could be a really great business, but I needed income and I needed to feed my kids every day. And so, it really had to take that back seat for a while. And then it was literally when COVID hit that gave me the opportunity to be able to come back to the business, because my job was made redundant again in events, so there was nothing else to do for a few months except watch Tiger King and all of those kinds of things. So I decided that in that time period, I sat down and I wrote my values for the business, and I decided that I was going to commit to it full time, and that it was now or never. And I'd always said I just need 6 months to really focus on this, and so it was kind of the opportunity to do that came at me, and then since then it's been a different roller coaster, and we're fast scaling now, but back at that point in time, I think that was really the real crucial point in deciding. So sort of call it 1.0 and then 2.0.
And in this bigger growth phase, because you're now in 3 countries, right? In two continents, New Zealand, Canada as well. What has been a bottleneck in this bigger growth phase? That startup's one thing, but now you're international. What has been when I say that word bottleneck, what drops in for you?
It's still the tech. It's definitely still the tech has been a big bottleneck in that part of the growth, because we have been bootstrapped all the way until recently. And so, this part of the journey, it's been 5 years. And bootstrapping is really tough. Yeah. But I also think it's really great for people to learn, because you go about business in a totally different way to if you have a whole lot of money in the beginning. But it's really tough, because you still got to pay your bills and do all of those things. And trying to grow and build tech, that was really difficult. And along the way, we accessed lots of grants and things like that, and continued to grow. But we continued to grow still using that same off-the-shelf platform that we had been using way back in the beginning. Yes. And we totally outgrew that, but we were still using that until the start of last year. So only, sort of like 18 months ago that we were still using it. And so getting to a stage where we could find someone who could build the next stage of our tech platform was really difficult. And we finally found someone and, started that path. But even now, even with investment, we still feel under-resourced for our technology, because you need to invest a lot in it to make it where you want it to be. I'm still got that goal of that Uber-style platform. But it's finding the money to be able to do those things is definitely, a big part of the challenge. Yeah.
I've got some questions around mothering. So obviously that's a huge role in itself. That's more than a full-time job, and I don't think anyone understands it until you're in it.
Absolutely. How
did you deal with the mom guilt, lack of a better term, that comes with, I'm building this thing that it's allowing me flexibility, but it's actually taking away from a lot of the time now when they're young, and there's all these key moments, and that's something that I personally am having a hard time with and have struggled with in the past. I feel like I sort of lost that first year with my son, and I'm like, what am I like? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think because you've got young children, you still want to spend time with them. I've got a teenager.
Oh, okay, you're like goodbye. Please close the door on you.
No, but it is really tough, and I think I've tried to always have very strong boundaries around my time, because they have to be fed, they have to be picked up, they have to be taken to football, all of those things. Yes. Being on my own, I have no choice but to do those things, which, I get really frustrated because I'm like, but I'm stuck in this, I'm getting some work done at the moment. I don't want to stop that and have to get, go and pick up from school and all of those things, but that forces me to have to stop and do all of that. And I think, we put too much pressure on ourselves for mother's guilt. I think, we're thinking, we want to spend all our time with them and do all of those things. But, I think the benefit is they're seeing you create something and build a business. And I think even though it doesn't seem like they appreciate or understand that at the time, I think they really do. I think they really are taking that all in, and I hope so.
They're constantly absorbing, absolutely.
I'm definitely at the stage where my teenager just grunts and swears at me, but I do think that he is absorbing a lot of that as well. Yeah. I think mother's guilt, I try to just lower my standards.
Yes. That's good advice. No, that's good advice.
Massively. And, and I'm not great at a lot of things at home. And I think it's at things that I would have loved to have spent time doing. And I think sometimes it's just admitting defeat with those things and getting help where you can. So, I am quite happy to have a cleaner. I've always had my ironing done by my own service, but I have just got my washing done, getting my washing done, and it's a game changer. I'm like, why was I not doing this before?
Full circle.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good. It's been saving me so much time.
Oh, amazing.
I will get HelloFresh delivered. I get everything delivered, so I don't have to go out and do the shopping. All of those kinds of things. I try to make my kids get in and help as much as possible as well, which yours are probably too little for that yet, but
causes more problems.
Yes. And I think we've really built our culture in our head office that no one needs to ask for permission if they need to take time off to go to their sports days or whatever that is. Like we all
Yes.
just do it, and that's expected that you should go and do all of those things because you can make up those few hours a different time, or
Okay.
you know, work more
Yes.
efficiently. And we try to not be clock watchers at all and be very outcomes focused in our team. So yeah, so they're the kinds of things, I guess. But yeah, I think it's still hard every day. Honestly, my kids are my hardest part of my life. The business is like easy compared to managing the
you go.
kids.
Well, they are
and-
teenagers, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you pull a lot of things from your motherhood into the role that you have as leader for your team?
I think it's
Is
the
it
other
taught-
way.
Yeah? Okay.
I feel
Wow.
like I go to, you know, leadership courses and things like that, and they'll be talking about all of these ways to, you know, be a better leader in your business. And I'm like, oh, I could implement that at home.
There you go. That's a good
Yes.
tip.
Yes. So yeah, but it's funny because my employees actually listen to me, and my kids do not. So
You're like,
I'm not quite sure.
I'm overjoyed at the imperfection you're sharing with you. Can we talk a little bit more about that leadership, Susan? I guess I'm curious, what did you personally have to stop doing or let go of to become the leader that laundry lady needed?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think this changes all of the time. And certainly in the last 5 years, like up until really like a year and a half ago when we were launching our platform and going on Shark Tank and all of those things, like I was still in our support emails and answering, you know, customers, doing all of those customer inquiries and things like that, and very hands-on in operationally in the business. And so at that point, and we couldn't quite afford it, but I decided we really needed an operations manager. And that was really game-changing for me to be able to bring that person in and be able to trust him with, you know, taking over a lot of those things. And there's a lot of that stuff that he does far better than me as well, because he can be more focused on it, you know. And I was really starting to struggle with having the time and energy to be very focused on the detail of those things and run the company at the same time. And so that was definitely a big game-changing point for me in the journey of, and a lot of that is letting go of that control as well. But I think I'm actually quite good at that. I was like, here you go.
Take it.
I was too desperate by that stage. I'm like, here you go, take it. And you know, and at the end of the day, I am a mum as well. And I still got to, you know, I cannot work 80 hours a week. Like I just don't have that ability to do. So I've had to delegate and let go of that control and bring people in like that. So and now it's, you know, even like a little bit of time on from that, we're starting to bring more specialized skills of staff into the team, and that's exciting again because it's, you know, expanding what we can do and you know, and letting go of that control and all of those things. So
You're very down to earth. How important do you believe that humility is in leadership?
Look, I think you've got to be yourself. I think the older I've learnt to just be myself more. You know, like when I was working in a career, when I was in an office, you know, you'd present a different version of yourself at work to what you would at home. And I don't know if it's just because it's my business, but also because I'm just older and care less about what people think. But I think, you know, really staying true to yourself and, you know, like if you start comparing yourself to other leaders and thinking, well, they do all of that, I need to do all of that. Like that may not be you. You know, I have been trying to get up at 5 a.m. I don't know if that's me, but I'm trying to do it. But, you know, it's sometimes I think we try to be something different. And obviously we need to learn more and, you know, extend our skills and become better all of the time. But I think also it's still maintaining, you know, what are you good at, you know? And that's what I've always thought. Every new role that I've brought in, it's like it takes over a little bit more of my role, and it's like I should be just doing myself out of a job. That's what my plan is, you know. With every new person, they should take over that little bit more and a little bit more, and I
love that. Staying true to your version and just improving that instead of trying to be everybody else.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's tough, especially with social media and all of that noise.
Yes.
I want to dive into Shark Tank. So
actually dive into the tank.
Yes. So being featured on Shark Tank, what was that like? And how did that sort of play out for you? How did you position yourself moving forward from that? Tell us.
Yeah, it was such a crazy experience. So I think when you are in business in the Australian landscape, you see Shark Tank and you have like these goals of maybe I'm going to go on that one day. And your mates brewery, who are Sunshine Coast business, they had gone on a few years before, and I know Matt, the owner, and had talked to him about it a lot, and so. It hadn't been on Australian Airways for a few years, and it was coming back, and it was all new sharks, and it was like Jane Lou from Shopo, who I love, and David Fogarty from Oodie, all these people that I thought, oh, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so we just dived right in without really thinking about it too much, and applied, and before I knew it, we're going off and filming, and it was, I had never at that stage pitched the business before to an investor ever. So why not do that for the first time on national TV? Like, what a crazy thing to do. It could have gone bad, but it went well. And it just brought like the most amazing exposure to the business. And that was really the whole idea of going on there, was just that, we wanted to bring exposure. Like, you're not in business not to tell everyone about it. And so, it was a great opportunity to be able to do that. And it has been absolute marketing gold for us. Like, whenever we play ads and it's there, people see it and get more excited about it, click on it more, all of those kinds of things. Like, every event I go to, people are like, oh, I saw you on Shark Tank. We were just in Canada launching our business over there, and because Robert Hajavik, the shark who did the investment offer for us, he is Canadian, so they all know him. So that was really exciting to that audience as well. They were coming up and telling us about it, and some of them had even seen us on Shark Tank, on the other side of the world. So, it was just amazing exposure for the business, but absolutely a terrifying experience to go on TV and pitch your business.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I think I remember the first time I met you was just in passing at an Angels event in Parisian, and I think the night before it had aired, and so everyone was like, oh, Susan's here. It was like, ooh, very celebrity.
This crazy celebrity that comes with it. It's which is so good for the business, because it just does bring almost like a legitimacy as well to the business, in the same way like an awards program would. You've got that Shark Tank stamp, and you've got that forever, which is really great. So, it feels like it was a long time ago, but it's still such a big part of everything that we do, and what we talk about in our marketing activities and things like that. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
With that, when was it after Shark Tank that you realized, oh, we want to go international with this? Or was it beforehand? How did you know? When was the moment?
The week that Shark Tank aired was the same week that we were launching in New Zealand.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, how well timed.
So that was, not the best timing, to be honest, because it was like so much going on here.
Of course,
and we had to travel over there and we had it at shows and things like that. But I think it had always been part of my plan. I think coming from a career that was in international marketing with Austrade, I always kind of thought going international could be a really great part of the journey for us. In the past year, we've been raising for our seed investment, talking to lots of investors, going to all those angel meetings, and you really have to drill down into what you're doing and why you're doing it when you're talking to investors, and they're asking those questions all of the time. And and there's a couple of different paths we could have taken with the growth of the business. One could have been to apply our tech to other industries, which still could be something we do down the track, or the other was going international. And for me, I just felt like international, that's where my space is. And so, felt really passionate about doing that. And so we've just come back from a 3-week journey in Canada. So New Zealand doesn't really feel truly international, because it does feel a lot like Australia, but, like from a legal perspective and all of those things, there's still a lot to work through. So it was a good kind of practice ground for us.
Yeah, that's true.
And then going into Canada, it's been really exciting to see how excited people are there about the business, and we've already had over 500 applications to join the team just in a few weeks since kind of getting that up and running. So so we feel like it could go. I might be flying back and forth a lot. We'll see.
Hey, White Christmas.
Yes, I know. We left just before it started snowing. So
wow.
Why Canada though?
Why Canada? I mean, we were looking really for countries that could align to our values and our culture, and we felt like that was going to be a really good fit. we are looking at the US as well, but I think that will be down the track a bit. Maybe we'll see what happens with that. We'll probably go to the UK next as well. So it's definitely, it's even more aligned to what we thought, from Canadians and the way that they look at us and look at the business and value that flexibility and things like that we offer. So,
You mentioned investors and talking to investors. For people who are listening, thinking of going down that path, can you share some wisdom about what it takes to get investors, and also even just simple things like how many did you have to talk to before you got some yeses?
Yeah, I've still got PTSD from the whole experience, let's be fair.
But she survived, right? She survived.
I know I was definitely going to give up at a few points in the journey, but it took a lot longer than I, had anticipated. And, it's a huge experience. I think you've really got to be ready for it because it is all encompassing. And if I didn't have that operations manager in place, I would never have been able to step away from the business because it did take up all of my time for, a good sort of 6 to 9 months of just going and pitching and pitching and pitching. And I just knew in myself that I was going to commit to it 100%. I didn't want to leave any stone unturned. And I think I've talked to almost every investor in the country. I don't know. I've talked to a lot. And I went in lots of different events, went in lots of different pitching events and just got the business name out there so much in that period. And like, if you looked at my LinkedIn, it was just insane through that whole period because we were winning awards and doing all of those things. But all of that was very strategic about the investment and trying to raise our profile as much as possible through that period. One thing I really learnt was that I had to change the narrative of how I talked about the business. So, we're a service business. We're helping people with their laundry and solving that by providing a service to them. But investors want to know about tech companies and innovation. So, we had to really, and we have all of that, but it's, that wasn't the way I was pitching the business. So I've had to really change the narrative around some of those things.
Because laundry is not sexy, right?
Because laundry is definitely not sexy to many of the investor group. So
they want dollar signs.
Exactly. So it's definitely a hard pitch, and it's a very female-led business, female-led, a lot of 90% of our contractors are female. So, also pitching that to rooms full of men is very difficult. And so, it was a really big, long journey that took a lot longer than I thought it would. I just approach it because it can be really negative. And I think if you're going through that experience, you might be feeling that. And the approach I took was every no was something I would go back and improve in my pitch and in my deck. And if you looked at our Canberra and saw how many pitch decks there were a lot by the end. Because it's like, well, if they're saying no, then they're not hearing or hearing something that they, and it's going back and saying, well, how can I present that better so they do understand that?
Hey guys, quick pause to talk about Opus Clip, one of my favorite tools for creating content without the stress. If you've ever spent hours editing videos wishing there was an easier way, Opus Clip is your solution.
Their AI engine takes your raw clips and turns them into share-ready videos in under a minute. No editing skills required, no headaches, no endless hours at your computer.
Seriously, it's like having a professional editor in your pocket. You can create more content, experiment with formats, and share it instantly, all while saving a ton of time.
And if you want to get started with a great sign-up bonus while supporting the show, just use the link in the description.
All right, back to today's episode. We're about to drop more insights you won't want to miss.
Yeah. Can we lean on your wisdom a little bit here, Susan? If someone was running a business similar to Laundry Lady, but was 2 or 3 years behind where you are now, what bits of advice have you got about, fixing something or building something first? That's a learning that you've had from your journey.
Yeah, I think definitely just having really great systems in place right from the beginning is really important. Whatever stage you're at, whether it's just a few years behind us or right at the beginning, even if you don't know what those processes are, it's just actually mapping it out. And that can be really simple in the beginning. It can be just an Excel document, you don't have to completely solve it and do it in this, fancy kind of way. It's like just get the basics in there. In the very beginning for me, that was how I sorted laundry, and
Wow.
and how I managed my schedule and
Yeah.
all of those kinds of things. And that's now become our knowledge base for our contractors. So that information was really important. So I think getting those systems in place and processes around what you do and how you do each of those things, even if you're just a team of one, is really critical in your growth, because that's the stuff that starts to get messy later. And even when you start adding people, even when you've got those processes, you've got to continually evolve them, or they still start getting messy. So yeah, I think a lot of that, of getting those systems and processes on track. I think also coming back to, you don't necessarily need to get investment and do everything in a great way to start with. You don't need to build the tech to start with, in every business. Sometimes it's just getting out and getting started. I had that idea at the beginning, but I would never have really known what I was doing if I'd tried to create the tech back then, And so going out and being stuck in the business doing the laundry was actually so valuable, because it taught me exactly how that could work, all of those different things about the scheduling and all of those things I learnt and could use, and that's helped drive the growth of the business. So yeah, I think just get in and get started and get to the next stage, and don't think that it's all got to be perfect. I like to say, progress over perfection.
Yeah.
My ops manager has a little bit of trouble over that. He likes to perfect it, but it's, I think otherwise you can just get stuck, getting nowhere. So
it certainly is a theme from your story, is that imperfection moving forward has been really important to you.
Yeah. Now I've got my ops manager going, let's perfect it, which is also really important, but yeah, I think you've kind of got to get in and get it done. And
yeah, a little bit of bad cop from me. So what's one decision or mistake that you made that really stands out, that you learnt a lot from, that if I've had it just done differently, it would have accelerated things?
Oh my gosh, so many things. Let's narrow it down to one. Look, I think, definitely having no money along that journey, and trying to, make decisions around that has been really challenging. We made wrong decisions about the development of that tech in the beginning, which cost lots of money, and then had to restart, and then it took another year, and, all of those kinds of things really impact, not just you, but the sentiment of all your staff. It starts to impact them when you're like, we're almost at the end of the tunnel. Oh, wait, no, we're not. We've got to start again and go through that tunnel again.
It just got dark again.
Yes, it just got dark again. And, and now going through startup phase again, almost launching into a new country, it's trying to, bring everyone in the team along with that. So, yeah, I think, there's definitely bad decisions that you make. But I think, any bad decisions we've made, it's just try to, get off that train and make the next best decision as quickly as you can, so that you're not, not too far down that path. Because everyone, you're going to make mistakes. That's just part of it. But you just don't want to make it for too long. It's like they always say, hire slow, fire fast. And, with people, and I think that is true in everything. It's just get off the train as soon as you realize that it's not the right thing, and get into the next path. And so, that's probably what we've tried to always do. It's not always quite that simple either, because you might be tied to that for, we were tied to our old tech system for a long time. We knew we needed to get out of that and get to the next thing. But it's not always easy to jump off that and get onto the next train. But doing that fast, I think, and that's hard as a leader, because you've got to make those decisions, and they're big decisions when they can, they're going to cost you money. But I think sometimes you've just got to do it.
How have you picked yourself up in those down moments?
Well, look, I think I have a really great team around me, which are really good at motivating me. I just, we have our contractors, the stories that we hear from them about why they join us, it really comes back to that whole reasons of why I started, and, the flexibility that's brought to their lives. But it'll be some, really amazing kind of passionate reason that they'll give us about, how it's changed their life, because they can, do this or spend this time with their child or look after their elderly parents who are sick or, some kind of thing. And when I hear those stories, like that really motivates me to just keep going and to, not get too caught up in the hard times. And and sometimes I think when you're going through hard times, like just take a bit of time out. Like, it's okay to just sort of like I always in December, January, try to not have any meetings and have very quiet time at home because it's school holidays and I try to not leave the house and all of those kinds of things because I think then that gives me good energy for the rest of the year. So,
Getting close to the end here, but I'm actually really interested to know about the marketing elements and how you explain what you do in a simple way and just capturing people and bringing them in. How has that journey been?
Yeah, so I think, because marketing is my background, that's something I'm really passionate about. Yeah. And so, I built a marketing team first. That was the first hire because I really felt strongly about having a good brand and a brand that was really connected to our culture and that flexibility. And the message of flexibility is in everything that we do for both customer side and contractor side. And so that's something that we just really focus on. And we're very content heavy in what we we do a lot of organic content that supports our paid content and telling a lot of my story and connecting that to people, I think has been a big part of what has made our marketing really great. And bringing in a team that are also passionate about those things as well. I think, we're a really small team. There was 3 of us. Now there's about to be 5 of us. So, including me, I count myself as the marketing team because that's where that's where I like to sit and spend my time and be on the growth side of that. So I think, it's just been focusing on those kinds of things and we rely heavily on Meta and Google and using those systems, but we also are trying to, find other ways that we can reach potential customers and contractors so that you're not just giving all our money away to Meta and Google.
Expensive.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They don't miss you.
So that's really kind of the way that we roll that out.
And when you're going to these other countries, obviously marketplaces, I think the pinch point for most people is the chicken or the egg. It's like, okay, well, we need customers, but before we get customers, we need people to service them. But how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's always a chicken and egg thing for us. Like even now with scale here, it's still, where do you get the contract? What pace do you do that? All of those things. So we don't start marketing to customers until we've got the contractor because customers want to book straight away.
Absolutely,
So we've got to get that supply side done first. And, in the beginning in Australia, that was really hard because we had no traction, like no one knew who we were. We didn't have any brand recognition. And it was really just finding people one by one and then finding them customers. And, that was just, I would just repeat and do that and probably at a very slow pace. Whereas now we're trying to do that at a much faster pace. But, we just spent 3 weeks in Canada and a big part of that was just about recruiting contractors and going out to shows and talking to people and telling them about our brand and what it does and that we're not just a laundry service, but we also, offer the other side of it. And that really resonated with people. And so we've had a lot of applications already. So once we get some of them up and running, then we'll start getting them customers. And so you never really know until you start, but it has definitely followed very similar patterns for us everywhere in terms of, where we can find customers and the type of customers we find and the industries and things like that. So, I'm sure we'll learn a lot as we go in Canada. It'll be different, but we've got a lot behind us to support that as well. So,
and how do you manage that waiting period for the contractors? You've got them signed up and they're like,
Yeah, it's tough.
is there a nurturing?
It's
come
tough
on, we're my
because
clients. Come
yeah,
on.
we
We're
certainly
yeah.
we certainly tell our contractors in the whole recruitment phase that, you know, it will take you 3 to 6 months to get to the stage where you want to be. And for some of them, you know, they all have different targets. So they can be earning anywhere between $300 and $3,000 per week consistently. And that's depending on what they want, what their targets are. So for some of them, 300 is great. And for some, they want to be at that 3,000. So we will work with them to try and meet those targets. And, you know, we're always just trying to manage that pace to make sure there's not too much capacity in an area, you know, versus customers. You know, what sort of speed can we get them customers? We know in certain areas it's going to be faster, in certain areas it'll be slower. All of those kinds of things. And that, you know, may be different in Canada, but I think it'll probably follow a similar kind of path.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something we're learning all the time, and we're trying to build more tech and AI tools around that as we grow and scale as well, to be able to do that at a faster speed and not just, you know, my gut feel of let's do this and do that. So we're trying to be much more data driven as we're getting bigger, but you know, that's tough because you've got to build the tech around that and all of those things as well. So so there's a lot. There's definitely the data side, but it definitely has a bit of gut and feel as well around how we manage that. So yeah,
incredible.
Has there been a big surprise or one surprise about the international expansion?
I think not so much surprise, just great that it's resonated the way we thought it would, because we weren't sure. You know, you can read all the things you want to read, you can do all the research, you can talk to people, but until you actually get there, you don't know. And so the way that it has resonated has been really, really positive. And, you know, like there's been definitely learning things for us, like they don't call suburbs and cities the same way that we do. They have cities and neighborhoods and all sorts of things like that. And that's actually a really important part of our booking process and the way that all of our capacity and things like that work. So that's been something we're trying to learn at the moment to get our heads around that and how that all works. But yeah, I actually felt like Canadians were, you know, and people had said, you know, they're very similar to Australians, but it really like felt very true that was very much the case. So, you know, we've got to learn a lot about winter, I think, particularly from the Sunshine Coast, you know. So and the laundry habits around winter, I think that will be a really interesting thing for us to learn as we go. But definitely the snow and the winter is the things we don't so much understand. But we've had to learn that, you know, even going into the southern states of Australia about the cold and how that affects things and different times of year and those sorts of things. So it'll be very much a learn as we go around a lot of it.
There's your imperfection moving forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can only know so much, and you've just kind of got to get in there and learn it as you go and adapt along the way. And
rapid fire.
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go.
So we like to play a little game at the end of each episode where we like to get to know you a little bit better. So we're going to throw 10 rapid fire questions at you. Just don't think. Quick, short answers.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What was your first job?
I worked at Donut King for about a month, and then I worked at McDonald's, which was a massive upgrade.
I don't think I've ever heard that. McDonald's an upgrade, but anyway.
Over Donut King.
I also had a bit of a face painting business when I was about 6, which my parents owned a bowling centre, and I had this blanket with this whole thing written on it about face painting.
Entrepreneur from the beginning.
I was the entrepreneur, back then. I wasn't very good at it.
All right, what's your coffee order?
Cappuccino with almond milk, no sugar.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone. We have a lot of war in our office over this. iPhone.
Office or work from home?
I do both, and I work far more efficiently from home. I'm a distraction in the office to everyone else, but I also enjoy the socialness of being in the office. So we like to do both.
I love that. Early riser or night owl?
I'm definitely not an early riser by nature, night owl, but I did read the 5 a.m. club at the start of the year and started doing that for a good 9 months, and then I fell off the wagon. Trying to get back on. My jet lag's helping me get back up early.
One piece of tech you couldn't live without?
my calendar.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's so basic.
Your current
I mean, AI tools are great, but my calendar is my
true.
my daily.
Your current go-to productivity hack.
I am loving Gemini at the moment and learning some of the tools in that, which my team kind of have a bit of a chuckle with me about, and I'm trying to teach them the things that I learn along the way. But yeah, I'm enjoying that at the moment.
Awesome.
A business book or podcast you'd recommend to anyone?
A business book or podcast. So I did recently read The Let Them Theory, which I know is not super business book. I really, really liked that. I thought that was a great way. I think that's good for people stepping into leadership to learn to let go and those kinds of things. And podcasts I love. I actually love Jane Liu from Showpo. I love all the people she talks to. They're a lot of e-com, which is I love learning from. So.
And the business game.
And the business game. Sorry, that was my first one. The spin out. That's what I love.
I love that
course,
name.
yes.
Spin out.
Yes.
Okay. The best investment you've ever made, money or time?
My children. Are you allowed to not say your children? They take up a lot of my money and time.
All right. If you weren't doing what you do now with Laundry Lady, what career would you choose?
Well, the career I was in was very much events and marketing driven. I don't know if I'd do that now. No, I probably would. I still, love that part of it, talking to people. Yeah.
All right.
One final question. Susan, if business truly is a game, what would you say the definition of winning is?
I love it when I can take time off and spend time with my children and know that the business is running without me. Like that's success to me, is because I know that then I've, been able to instill a lot of things in my team to be able to do that. And remember the first time I was really truly able to do that and go offline, and it felt pretty good. Like we had, built something that's bigger than me, which, I think was super cool. Sorry, that wasn't a very short answer.
That was fine. That was great. I love that. Okay. Well, that is all that we have time for. Thank you so much for this conversation. This has been incredible. I've got so many takeaways.
Absolutely. It's been great. I love the imperfection moving forward. Right? Such a really cool success
strong.
Story.
So where can our listeners find you and your business?
Well, our website is laundrylady.com.au. So that's where you can book in for all your services, find out if you want to join the team, all of that information. And if you want to connect with me, then connect with me on LinkedIn. I try to stay on top of it. I'm a bit behind now after traveling for a few weeks, but that's generally, I spend a fair bit of time in there. So, yeah.
Fabulous. All right. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps us bring you great new episodes of The Business Game every week.
For more insights, strategies, and real stories to help you move the needle in your business, we'll meet you back here next time. Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game.
If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, Tyler Offshore, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game,
A podcast that moves the needle.